Best pizza near me. Why is the sky blue? We've all done it. You type a question into Google, hit enter, and bam, before you can even blink, there's a list of answers. But have you ever actually stopped to think about what is happening in that tiny fraction of a second? It's pretty wild. So today, we're going to dive into exactly that.
I mean, really, let that sink in. The entire internet, we're talking hundreds of billions of web pages, is sorted, organized, and ranked just for you personally. Google handles something like 99,000 searches every single second. It's a completely normal part of our daily lives, but make no mistake, it is one of the most incredible technological feats ever pulled off.
You know, it really does feel like magic, doesn't it? Like you're talking to some all-knowing wizard, but it's not. Today, we are pulling back the curtain to show you the machine. It's an incredible three-step process that turns the absolute chaos of the web into those perfect instant answers you get every time.
So it all boils down to these three stages. First, Google has to go out and see what's even on the web in the first place. That's called crawling. Then it has to organize everything it finds into a coherent system. That's indexing. And finally, the moment you ask your question, it has to dig through all that organized information and find the absolute best answer for you. And that, my friends, is ranking.
All right, let's start at the very beginning with step one, crawling. I mean, before Google can answer your question, it has to know what information is out there. It has to explore.
To do this, Google uses this massive army of automated programs called Googlebots, but you'll almost always hear them called spiders or crawlers, and honestly, that's the perfect way to think about them. These aren't little robots running around. They're pieces of software that are constantly, endlessly navigating the giant web of the internet.
And these things are absolutely tireless. They're digital explorers that never sleep. They start with a list of known web pages, and from there, they just follow every single link they find. And that link leads to another page with more links, and they follow those and on and on and on 24/7. They're discovering new websites, noticing when a page gets updated, and basically creating a live map of how the entire internet is connected.
Okay, so the crawlers have found a truly insane amount of information. But, a giant messy pile of data isn't useful to anybody. It all has to get organized. And that brings us right to step two, indexing. Think of it like building the biggest, most detailed library catalog in human history.
So every single piece of content a crawler finds, we're talking every word, every image, every video, every single link, it all gets sent back to Google's ridiculously huge data centers. This is where all that raw information gets processed and sorted into a gigantic database that's called the index.
The library analogy is just perfect here. But we're not just talking about a simple list of website titles. Oh no, the index catalogs everything about every page. It notes what words are there, where they appear, what images are on the page. It's an incredibly detailed map of all the internet's content just sitting there, ready to be searched in an instant. And now we get to the most critical part, the real secret sauce, ranking. So the crawlers have found the pages, the index has organized them. But when you search for something, how in the world does Google decide which of the millions of possible results to show you first?
I mean, this is the whole game, right? If you search for how to bake a chocolate cake, there are probably millions of recipes out there. The ranking algorithm is this super complex system that sifts through all of them to give you what it thinks are the most useful, relevant, and trustworthy results right there at the top of the page.
So how does it actually decide? Well, Google's algorithm is looking at hundreds of different signals in a split second. Of course, it looks for your keywords. That's basic. But it goes so much deeper. It looks at things like authority. Are other important, trustworthy websites linking to this page? That's a huge vote of confidence. It considers freshness. Is this article from last week or from 10 years ago? If you're searching for restaurants near me, your location is obviously super important. And more, it's looking at user experience. Is the website fast? Is it secure? Does it work well on your phone? And you can see the difference pretty clearly when you put it side by side. A high-ranking page? It's seen as an authority, its content is fresh, and it's a breeze to use. A low-ranking page is kind of the opposite. It's isolated, the information is probably outdated, and it's just clunky to navigate. At the end of the day, Google is trying to reward the pages that give you the best possible experience and the most valuable info. But wait, there's one last piece to this whole puzzle. The system isn't just static, it doesn't just sit there. It's constantly learning and getting better, and that's because of the feedback loop. This is what makes Google smarter with every single search that happens.
It's actually a pretty simple idea. And here's the cool part. You are part of it. Every time you search, you participate in this loop. You type something in, Google shows you the results, and then you click on one. That click, it's like a vote, and Google is watching very closely to see what happens next.
So think about it. If you click a link and you spend a few minutes on that page reading, that sends a really strong signal to Google that, hey, this was a good, helpful answer. But if you click a result, take one look, and immediately hit the back button to try something else, well, that tells Google that the first result probably wasn't a great match. Your behavior is literally helping to train the algorithm for the next person who searches.
So when you put the whole thing together, the relentless crawling of the web, the massive indexing of all that content, and this incredibly sophisticated ranking system that's constantly being refined by all of us, you get this. A truly incredible feat of engineering that connects you with all the world's information, all happening in less time than it takes to blink.
So the next time you type something into that little search bar, you'll know the unbelievable journey that's happening behind the scenes. Now, I have to ask, and be honest, what's the weirdest thing you've ever Googled? Let me know down in the comments.